Hello and welcome to Penalty on the Podcaster. I Just Want to Talk, where I just talk about things relating to the NFL that I want to talk about. This week, regarding my favorite team, the Rams. They are a bit of a fire sale lately, and that's what this episode's about. Before I get to the content, this podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and RSS Community. The links to all those will be in the description. RSS Community is the recommended way to listen to this podcast. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe, help the channel grow. It costs nothing. It takes about a second, and you can always change your mind later. Make sure to ding that bell on YouTube, or follow on Spotify, or subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on to never miss an episode. My apologies for this one coming out late. It's the last in a long series. And this podcast is not currently sponsored. If you'd like to sponsor this podcast or contact me for whatever reason, my email will be in the description. Also, the best way you can help this channel grow or this show grow is by far the easiest. Just spread the word. It's a great way to help the channel show grow, and it's so easy to do. All right, let's get on with the content. And this one's painful. It's my favorite team, but I'm just going to talk about them and about the strategy they were using, the win now strategy. Let's get into it. So, what have the Rams done in this offseason? Well, they traded Jalen Ramsey for a third-round pick and backup tight end with one catch in the postseason. Which was by far my least favorite transaction they've done. They released Bobby Wagner. Unfortunately, he was really good, but he wanted to win. Rams couldn't keep him because of the cap cost. They released Leonard Floyd, and Allen Robinson got traded so they could move up in the 7th round. And he still had, there was still a $10 million dead money charge against and against the Rams. And they now have over $70 million in dead money, and they lost in free agency their kicker Matt Gay, their punter Riley Dixon, their long snapper Matthew Orzech, I think is his name. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And their backup quarterback Baker Mayfield. They've done very little outside of the draft this offseason, but they lost a ton of people. Oh, yeah, and Greg Gaines. Greg Gaines and Baker Mayfield went to the same team, and now I think they're under the cap. I hope they're under the cap, but still, they're in a lot of trouble. But I'm going to talk about why maybe not all hope is lost and why they're in this position anyway. Their strategy is something called win now mode. So it's where they go all in. They went all in 2021. And they acquired people they knew they couldn't keep. Von Miller, Odell Beckham Jr. And they go and they try to win a Super Bowl. They go all in, they win a Super Bowl. And win now doesn't make dynasties. It can provide a Super Bowl, maybe two. They win the Super Bowl, then have a chance to repeat. And they could have run it back. They had a really good shot, but then they got injured. The whole offensive line got injured or had to move. Like Coleman Shelton, the guard, moved to the center. The entire secondary, aside from Jalen Ramsey, was injured at some point. And they had 2 quarterbacks get injured. They started 4 quarterbacks in the regular season. They lost reigning MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and Offensive Player of the Year Cooper Kupp. They lost Aaron Donald for the season. All these guys got injured. And then Lance McCutcheon, who came in as a backup, who honestly should get some more starting time when he's healthy, because he was really good in the preseason, at least. Got injured. Terrell Lewis got injured. Basically, everyone got injured. A lot of people got injured at basically every position. And the Rams just, like, how can you win when you have backups and that's it? It's like, in their last game, offensive, their offensive line was either injured or rotated. Their wide receivers were mainly backups. The defensive backs were Jalen Ramsey and backups. And their pass rushers were like Greg Gaines and like Leonard Floyd and I don't know who else because they were buried so deep on the roster. Oh, and Michael Hoyt. Michael Hoyt made himself useful. Their offense was a bunch of backup wide receivers like Van Jefferson, Baker Mayfield at quarterback because everyone was injured. And like that was such a mess because like they had a really good chance of running it back. Like they got so injured. It's not really their fault that they are the worst defending Super Bowl champions. They were so injured. 49ers fans, though, are interesting because when the 49ers blow the Super Bowl, as Kyle Shanahan is prone to do, and then the next season they missed the playoffs because they got injured and a little bit. And then, like, oh, they were injured. They were injured. When the Rams win the Super Bowl, not blow it, and then basically everyone gets injured. Frauds. They're frauds. Like, if you compare them, like Nick Bosa, the star pass rusher, Aaron Donald, Jimmy Garoppolo, wasn't a star, but quarterback. Two quarterbacks got injured. So, and there were probably other injuries on the 49ers, but this isn't about them, mainly. But the Rams, their shot was ruined by injuries. And now they've lost everyone, and they will be rebuilding for a very long time. And I think they have a shot to go like 9-8, and maybe like make the playoffs as the 7th seed. But I don't think they're going to be trying, considering Matthew Stafford's getting kind of old, and Caleb Williams is. That first pick looks really good. But they do have Stetson Bennett from the draft, and I mean, he's like good-ish, sort of. No. Okay. He's actually pretty good, but I don't know how well he's going to do professionally. He's also kind of small, but he is bigger than Bryce Young, and he has done well. He does have success. 2 national championships back-to-back is not an easy feat, but they do have him as a quarterback option for when Stafford decides to retire, which can't be that far away, considering they don't have Baker Mayfield anymore. But I think the Rams might try some attempt at tanking some games. But I think they have an opportunity to be pretty good. Aaron Donald will be back if he doesn't retire. Hopefully he doesn't retire. Ernest Jones is a great linebacker. Michael Hoyt is becoming a pretty good defensive end. Cam Akers is getting better every year after the injury, sort of. And he has flashes. Hopefully he can be good. And they'll have a healthy Matthew Stafford, a healthy offensive line. Maybe Stetson Bennett starting. They'll have Cooper Kupp back. And a side note about Cooper Kupp, I'm actually really concerned for him. He's the best receiver in the league when he's healthy, but that's 2 season-ending injuries in the regular season in like 6 seasons. So hopefully he can stay healthy for the rest of his career. But they have Cooper Kupp, who's the best wide receiver in the league when he's healthy. And they do have Lance McCutcheon. He probably won't get a lot of starts, but I think putting him in some games would be good. he's great, actually. He's like really big, and he weighs a ton, and like he's a really good wide receiver, big body wide receiver. And also, Bryce Perkins isn't a bad option at quarterback. Yes, he was terrible when he played, but like the Rams offense was made for Matthew Stafford, not Bryce Perkins. Bryce Perkins is a really good dual threat, and I think if the Rams like played to his strengths, he could do well. But Van Jefferson will likely be in the lineup. He's a very solid wide receiver. And then Tutu Atwell might be making some starts. He is a fast wide receiver, and I think he just needs his opportunity. And then even though Jalen Ramsey's gone, Jacoby Durant is a pretty good cornerback. He had in 7 games where he was active, like not even starting, not even playing. 7 games when he was active, he had more interceptions and pick sixes than Sauce Gardner. And if you adjust that for like other games played, he probably would have more interceptions than Tariq Woolen, and that therefore lead the league in interceptions. I mean, 3 interceptions in 7 games, 6 interceptions in 14 games, and then in 17, maybe like 7 interceptions. But the 7 games he played and got 3 interceptions, he wasn't playing all the snaps. He wasn't even starting. So he is a really good cornerback. At safety, I don't know. Maybe they drafted someone, but I don't remember. I did look at who they drafted, but I don't remember exactly who and what positions. I know they drafted like a bunch of defensive ends and tackles, and of course Stetson Bennett from Georgia. Oh, they're gonna be so bad. I mentioned this in like a previous episode, maybe last episode. They're going to be so bad. No Jordan Davis, no Jalen Carter, no Stetson Bennett, no Darian Kendrick, no anyone really. Their entire defense got drafted away, and then their quarterback got drafted away. A bunch of guys are gone. So, yeah, they're going to be so bad. Whatever, go Dogs. I have family that went to Georgia. But talking about the Rams, they do have Kobe Durant, who's really good. Darian Kendrick could be better, but I think he's good some of the time at least. It's just something he can refine in his second year or third year. And then Taylor Rapp, is he gone? I think he might be gone. Oh yeah, another guy they lost. I really liked him, Nick Scott. I really liked Nick Scott. I think he played really well. Hard hitter, just a really good guy. I think he played like stronger. He played safety. I think he might have played free safety, but he was really good. Signed with the Bengals, 7th round draft pick, and he was really good, and I really liked him. And he totally deserves his Super Bowl ring with the Rams in 2021. Taylor Rapp sucks, and I've heard that he could be good if he just switched to linebacker. And I can see that. He does well against the run. Jordan Fuller isn't bad, but he's been concussed like 2 years in a row, so his reliability isn't that good. Terrell Burgess was waived last year in November. I don't know who's going to be replacing Nick Scott, but they might have drafted someone. But that's bad. Jordan Fuller will be back though too, so it's not that bad. But trading Allen Robinson to move up in the 7th round. So I was talking about DeAndre Swift being traded for a bag of magic beans. in an episode you should totally listen to. It's about DeAndre Swift. It's called The Eagles Just Fleeced the Lions. But this is bad. For Allen Robinson, just to move up in the 7th round. Basically, they swap 7th rounders, and Pittsburgh gets Allen Robinson, which is just a terrible trade for the Rams, but one they needed to do because of the cap. And then they had to trade away one of my favorite players, Jalen Ramsey, a top cornerback in the league, but for just a third and a backup tight end who had no catches in the 2022 regular season and one in the postseason, which is just bad. At least ask for Mike Gesicki, but the Dolphins are going to be great with Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey, but yeah. I think the Rams' window for winning Super Bowls in that go has closed. And their shot at running it back was ended by injury. But what they can do is rebuild. I think they have the building blocks, and then in a few years they can take another shot at it. That's how this goes. I mean, that's if they don't change staff. But that's how win now mode works, and that's the strategy the Rams use, and it kind of failed, but I think they'll be back. So that's really all I have for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Also, with last episode, we hit 150 downloads for the month of April 2023. So thank you all so much. Thanks for listening. I truly appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed. Once again, this podcast is not currently sponsored. If you'd like to sponsor this podcast or contact me for whatever reason, my email is in the description. This podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, RSS Community, and Google Podcasts. Link to all those will be in the description. RSS Community is the recommended way to listen because you can view the transcripts. If you are on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Help the channel grow. And it costs nothing. It takes about a second, and you can always change your mind later. Make sure to ding that bell or subscribe or follow or whatever on whatever platform you're listening on to never miss an episode. And please spread the word. It's the best and easiest way to help grow the podcast. It can be mentioned in a conversation or something. So just talk about the show, recommend it to a friend or someone who likes football. Thank you for listening. Hope you've enjoyed this installment of Penalty on the Podcast, or I Just Want to Talk. You'll hear more of me next episode.